need to be reminded that when someone passes away, that their life was not in vain. There's lessons to be learned out of everybody's life. And you see, we have experiences that are important to pass on. And sometimes we don't get the opportunity to pass them on. And that's where the remembrance of us goes down. We are made in such a way that our memories are designed to help others. And I'd like to share a few little things that I remember. Angela as a woman who gave of her heart, her time, and had this listening capacity that seemed to be endless. Like she could sit and listen to you for talk about anything and problems and whatever. She just listened. She was looking forward to having her 100th birthday in a few days, or short, real short here, time. And she wanted her friends to be with her for that celebration. However, something happened a little over a month ago that's started her wanting death and not life. She found out that a person had decorated her room in webs of deceit and spiders of betrayal. And if you knew her, you knew she hated spiders. This person knew that she hated the things of Halloween, with all the evil surroundings in it and with it. And most of all, they knew that she hated spiders, so they did it anyway. The removal of these talisman of evil caused the room decorator to bar all of Angela's friends and prayer partners from visiting her. All of them were barred. Well, she lived looking forward to that time when her friends would be there. And then about 10 days before her death, Angela was deceived into signing a letter of false accusations against her friends. When she found out that she was deceived into doing something that she was physically, morally, and spiritually opposed to, Angela was so stressed and heartbroken that that could be done to her, especially by somebody she loved. She hated to be drawn into disputes and arguments and even banterings. She loved peace. You know, she was a seeker of peace. Well, she knew that this person that she trusted had betrayed her and would not relent from her torturous, persecuting ways of preventing her from having her friends. Her friends and her church would be denied from her life for as long as she lived. And she counted this as her church. And she could not stand a legal battle for her freedom. She was just frail, but she just couldn't stand for that. Therefore, Angela began seeing only hopelessness, loneliness, and persecution ahead. She asked her father to release her from her body. She forgave everyone, and she was released from her body at that point. From Angela's life, we can learn several of these lessons. 1, keep your boundaries in Jesus and keep them without compromise. She was seeking peace so much, and peace in her own family, that she let compromise set in. And it eventually killed her. You know? Second point is, do not trust a disbeliever with a power of attorney, and especially when you are hoping for them to change. They won't change. They can't even answer the calling when you give them power. It's a strange thing, but that quest for power destroys so many people. Third is to claim your identity in Jesus daily so that you can have life in all that God has promised. All His promises. Without your identity, you can't claim the promises. They're not yours, because you can't identify with them. You can pull one and say, I want this, but that's not moving in your identity to get it. You have to know who your identity is in Jesus. And not willing to waver on it. 4 is, do not just pray daily, but pray out loud from the Word of God. Make that part of your prayer. And when she could see well enough, she used to do that. And she loved it when people would come and pray with her and pray out the Word of God and read the Word of God to her. In the last 5 years that she was in that senior's home, she constantly looked forward to somebody coming to visit, to talk to, but also to read the Word of God to her. But you see, if you don't make that firm, that that's your way of life and that's what you want, it can be taken away from you when you become a senior and they think you're helpless and hopeless. And that's what happened to her there. Number 5 is, be a peacemaker that stands firm in God's truth. Well, Angela was definitely a peacemaker. She tried to make peace. But she allowed herself to compromise what the Word said don't compromise in order to have peace. And it backlashed on her. Seven, make your desires known to everyone, not just 1 or 2 people. So that there's a lot of people that know what your desires are. Well before you become restricted in your movement or handicapped in any way. Make them known. Don't let people guess at what you might have wanted. Make sure they know what you do want. And you see, she had this habit of trusting only 1 or 2 people to speak what she really desired too. And everybody else had to guess. And so things that she wanted were taken away from her. We are promised long life, is number 8 here. We're promised long life in obedience to Jesus. Ensure you move in God's purpose so that it is a rewarding, full life that you're getting and not one that's in pain or one that is cut short or broken ahead of time. So she wanted to live to at least 100 years old. She thought that that was the minimum age that she should live to. But it was cut short just days before her birthday. Just days she was prevented from getting what she was always spoken for. Number 9 is, do not settle for second best or just the minimum. You weren't called to be a minimized person. You were not called to always get the dirty end of the stick. Although some people enjoy that, and I can't figure that out as to why that is. But they do have this strong desire to always get the dirty end of the stick. The worst of everything. I think she realized too late that she had been accepting a minimized life, minimized existence of what she could have had or should have had and had available to her. And 10 is to live your life in the spirit of forgiveness. It is one of the most unsought after graces of our Father that is essential to complete salvation. To have salvation assured. And yet it is one of the least sought after graces that there is. People want prosperity. People want authority and they want power. They want friends and they want this, a big house and things like that to show off. But they don't want to forgive. And what we've seen with Angela, she did want to forgive. If she couldn't do it right away, she was praying until she could. You know, things happened. She would keep praying till she got the grace to forgive that person and turn over all that pain. We often think that we make a gesture at forgiving and that's good enough. But it isn't. The weight of that unforgiveness is still there. And it still comes home to roost. And I believe these are the key things that we can learn from Angela's life. That it wasn't something that was lived in vain. But it's something that was actually of a help to others. Yeah, it was actually a help. So, in closing, we say, learn the lessons from her, and therefore live a long life, prosper, and develop the best of memories to share with others. In Jesus' name we pray this.